These two smartphones might have changed smartphone photography in a big way in 2025, especially for the Android system. This is the X200 Ultra. This is the X300 Pro. But to talk about this one, we gotta talk about this one. So let's get down to it. All right, guys, full disclosure, Vivo is sponsoring this video, but they're allowing me to say what I want about the X300 Pro, the good and the not so good. They're open to feedback, which I appreciate, because this is the start of something very special in smartphone photography. Let's talk about the X200 Ultra. When the Ultra came to market, which is a China exclusive model, changed everything. They really focused on the longer focal ranges because Vivo really wants to make that telephoto zoom experience the best it can be. Then they introduced a photographer's kit, which is something that we would see somewhat in other manufacturers from Asia, but never to this extent, where they actually had a teleconverter that you attach to here. And this really brought a new experience to smartphone photography. And even without the photographer's kit, even at 85 millimeters and 135 millimeters, the image quality was brilliant. The natural depth of field because of the large sensor, the color science because of the co-engineering with Zeiss, the optics. It was unbelievable. I was taking images that looked like it came out of a mirrorless camera system. And then when you put on the teleconverter, wow, I was rivaling photos that I have with cameras worth thousands of dollars. And yes, it's not 100% natural out of this phone system, but there's a lot to it due to the optics. I took it to a Chinese opera, took some photos there. Then I took it to the bird park here in Singapore, and I shared it with my photo groups, and nobody had an idea it was out of a smartphone. Which brings us to this, the X300 Pro. Now, there are some improvements over the X200 Ultra. The Dimensity 9500 chipset from MediaTek is in this now versus the Ultra, which has the Snapdragon 8 Elite. So you're gonna get a little bit faster processing, better AI performance coming out of this chipset, respectively. But the one thing that Vivo is doing, which I appreciate, and they're one of the only smartphone manufacturers really focusing on this, is that telephoto experience. A lot of manufacturers are focusing on the wide and ultra wide and giving you a smaller sensor for the telephoto. But Vivo is doing the opposite. Man, the natural depth of field, the color, how the image pops, a little bit of processing, of course, with that Zeiss implementation. We'll talk about that. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful. And there are times, ever since having the Ultra and now this phone, where I've gone out and I thought, normally I bring a mirrorless camera with me to, snap some shots or whatever the case is. I've left it at home because this is good enough. And that's where the future of photography is going, how they're reading the image, the scene, how they know how to adjust the lighting, a little bit of a post-process editing to make your image pop right out of camera. It's friggin' impressive. I've taken it to the zoo, captured wildlife, lions, tigers, various different animals. But just be able to take this to the zoo, put on the teleconverter, and get beautiful images. A tiger as well, 200 megapixels, be able to crop in and still see finite detail in the fur, the teeth, the eyes. I've never been able to do that with a smartphone before. One of the benefits of this 200 megapixel sensor is the ability to zoom in 30 times and still get very sharp images. There was a guy at a bar restaurant outside this balcony area, and it was so far away from us, but I zoomed in 30 times. You still see the details of his face. And this is an image that you could easily use and nobody would know it's 30 times zoom. And if you're at a concert, that's what you want to get. You don't want to see Taylor Swift like this big and blurry. You want to see her this size and sharp and in focus and post it online or Blackpink or whatever it may be. And now you can do that with this. Plus it has stage mode too, so it adjusts the lighting to make sure that you capture the performer in optimal lighting. So it's really cool. There's a lot of great things with this phone. We could spend an hour talking about the software inside of this. I don't want to do that. But what I want to do now is jump over and talk about the photography kit. You would see other manufacturers talk about something like this as a prototype. Vivo made it a reality, and it's changed the game. Now you're probably looking at this going, Bobby, I don't want to carry something that big around. Wait a second. You can take off the grip here, right? Slide it off. Also acts as a bit of a charger for your phone. This lens comes off too. It's a prime lens. It's a 2.35 times teleconverter or telephoto lens. Vivo Zeiss engineered right here. So you're getting really good optics out of this. And with the software implementation inside the phone, paired with this setup, you're getting a very interesting combination. With the grip here, you've got a rocker switch here, shutter release a dial for exposure settings, and a record button so you can go video with this as well. It is not just for photographers, right? This is going to give you a range, 200, 400, 800, and 1600, and you can also adjust throughout that range in terms of, let's say, sports photography, fast action, wildlife photography. Is this going to replace a professional camera? Answer is not quite. This is not that fast. Lower light situations, it takes a while to adjust and to lock on. Fast action photography, it's not going to do crazy burst modes, 20, 30 frames per second. Not yet. Maybe they'll increase it, but right now it doesn't do that. I did want to jump in and mention there was a recent firmware update that did add more features to the teleconverter telephoto experience with this lens attached to it. Case in point, now you have Zeiss looks inside of here, so you can adjust the colors and the way that it renders. And also you got a snapshot here as well, which is going to allow you to capture faster action subject, but you actually have to manually press the shutter release button to capture your subject. So if you want to see someone walking or running by, you have to press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the background, it will process the image, which takes a little bit of time to see the final result. And there's various different, you can do portrait mode on this, you can do 200 megapixel mode on this, 50 megapixel mode, you can do AI where it takes 3 different images or 2 different images, how you want it, and it will kind of crop it at different points. There's a lot of things that you could do with this system, and even videographers, because you can use this for video as well, that really give you just a whole new perspective of mobile phone content creation. Where's the sweet spot for this system? It's going to be between 200 millimeters and 400 millimeters. Beyond that, you're going to see the image isn't as sharp. Just try to clean up the image, but I feel it to be a little bit softer. But at 200 to 400, it is beautiful. Let's talk video for a second on this. This is a very capable phone when it comes to videography. You can do 8K 30p, 4K 120, you can shoot in log, it's got Dolby Vision. I mean, you got a lot of features when it comes to video, portrait video as well. You're pretty much stacked on this. There is one thing on the video aspect, which I did feedback to Vivo and others did as well. Hopefully they do address this in a future firmware update, and that's the colors. Because right now, the colors for photography and videography are different. The only similarity that I'm finding, I think there's a couple filters in Zeiss Vivid. Outside of that, the natural Zeiss look is not there, texture is not there. So here's a shot of me recording with the front-facing camera and video, and as you can tell, it's a little contrasty on this one, and this is natural portrait if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I mean, obviously it'd be great if Vivo would include the same colors, as I mentioned, for the photography aspect for video, but so far not there yet. I mean, there's one way around it, and that's with the telephoto extender. When you put that on and you're in the photo mode and you switch to video, then you can use that natural color from Zeiss. Log is also great. They have a LUT in here, but the LUT is, it's so-so. I did talk to them about the LUTs. They said stay tuned, so I think there's some plans to really boost video capabilities and LUTs and all these things. So I'll talk about another feature that I really like about this in terms of photography for a moment, and that's macro photography, because you can use the telephoto lens and it is unbelievably good. And I went to a watch boutique and I was taking photos of watches. And when I showed the boutique manager, what phone is that again? It looks like it came out of a professional mirrorless camera system. The natural depth of field, the compression, the beautiful fall off from what's in focus to what falls out of focus is so good, and the colors are so natural, and it removes some of the reflections off the glass because you can have that option inside the menu. It's very, very impressive. So if you want to do product photography, obviously you want to print, you could probably shoot in DNG RAW format or whatever the case is, but it's really, really good. So let's talk about some issues I have with the phone, because there are some things that I feel that could be improved, and a lot of it is firmware for the most part. There is this street photographer's app called Humanistic, and it's kind of hidden inside the phone, and you don't know what it is unless you press the arrow below the shutter button, and then it pops up. What this app does is removes a lot of the AI features, and it kind of brings you back down to the core of things. So obviously you can adjust the colors. They have their own specific color profiles. They give you more film emulations, and they're really cool and they look really good. Get so much of that HDR look into your image, and it looks more real. So we did feedback to them, why don't you give us an icon, or at least list it into the options in terms of the menu? Maybe they will in the future. I don't know why they have it like this. And sometimes you accidentally turn it on. So what they did do in the recent firmware update is they give us the option to turn it off, because that was an issue that we were facing, is we'd press that all the time if we're taking a photo, because it's right below the shutter button. And it would pop on, you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted. You have to bring it back down and you lose the moment. So they give us an option to turn that off, which is great. Then there's this other thing that you should know about, is the Google circle search thing. So by default, it's turned on. It's on the bottom line under the shutter button. So if you're in, let's say, the telephoto mode with the telephoto extender, and you're resting your hand on the side, it's very easy to tap that on accident, which is, but you can turn that off. I wish we had more control over how much processing the phone does on the image, because while a lot of times it's really good, sometimes it's a bit too much and there's no way to pull it back right now, or at least dial it back. So hopefully in the future they can address that. And I've been primarily using it as a camera phone for the most part. I mean, the processor is more than enough to handle day-to-day tasks, you know, messaging, emails, watching videos. It's all great on this. No hiccups. It's smooth as butter. And I was with a friend of mine recently. We went to this fishing village outside of Johor Bahru in Malaysia. We're taking some photos and some videos, and we both walked away. This could replace the pocket camera easily. This could replace micro four third cameras for, you know, daily lifestyle photography. Some APS-C cameras it could replace. Now, again, I'm not talking wildlife and sports photography where you need super long lenses, and that's a little bit of a different scenario. You could take images with this, and you'd be hard-pressed to put this side by side with some images from those cameras, and people would not know. And that leads me to this conclusion. A couple years ago, we already knew the smartphone was getting better and better. But this year especially, with what we're seeing from Apple with the new iPhones, with Vivo with this X300 Pro and the X200 Ultra earlier this year, and other manufacturers, we're about 2 years out, guys, from this rivaling what we're getting out of full-frame camera systems. I mean, I'm not saying for all photography scenarios. The sensors are getting better. The AI is getting better. The depth mapping is getting better. How it can read an image and is seeing is even better than some of our cameras that are worth thousands of dollars. These camera manufacturers out there, they better step up, because these little micro adjustments they're giving us every couple years, sooner or later, this is going to take over. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on the vivo X300 Pro. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, like, subscribe. Thank you so much for the support. Greatly appreciate it. And I'll chat to you all very, very soon.